26th of January 2023. This is one of those what a fuck moments, and I'm not gonna have a lot of images and graphics, just two things that I want to share with you. But it is about my opinion that this republic must break up. And I need to make something clear. My discussion around this topic is not intended to give a complete solution. It's just basically that this republic must go. It is not functioning for many citizens of South. And I need to start this with two incidents that you should really take note of. The visit of Lavrov and the visit of Janet Yellen. With Lavrov, it was clearly business, and he was met by the government officials and they had their discussions and all of that. And then he left and he went to Swaziland and then to Angola, and he's on his way back to Russia. The DA protested his presence, and I find that extremely disturbing. We are a BRICS country, and Lavrov represents Russia, a major player in the BRICS bloc. But it is a known fact that the DA is neck deep in with the WEF and the globalists. Don't make a mistake. That is where they are positioned. Then Yellen, she is clearly here to push that green disaster onto us. And they're doing it through Cyril and the ANC. And it was quite interesting that she visited the Ford factory and she visited the NEC. What the fuck is that? Why will such a high-profile American government official visit the NEC? But that confirms my opinion that this republic is held together. It was handed over to the ANC by the West, and the ANC was solidly entrenched, and by doing that the West knew they had the whole country in their hands by just controlling the ANC and the president of the ANC. Let that sink in. The main reason they are pushing this green shit onto Cyril is to make sure that our country collapses, our electricity system falls apart, and they have a solid, thick stream supply of our coal for the West. And this stupid, yes, stupid ANC is too blind to see it. They will do to our energy system exactly what they did to Ghana. Exactly the same thing. Ghana was an exporter of electricity to all its neighbors in 2014. And then the IMF offered them a moor of a loan to transform their energy network. And that energy network was transformed to such a place that Ghana is in deep shit. I believe the Chinese and the Russians are now there busy helping them to bring that grid back on. But just earlier I read an article, and I used it in the Skidmarks that I did earlier about the stupid people running Africa. Ghana is so in debt that they can't move. Something like 60 or 80% of their national income is spent on interest on the debt loans. So Yellen is here to confirm their grip on Cyril and the ANC. A big problem for the Buffalo is that South Africa chairs BRICS this year, and we'll be hosting the BRICS conference later this year. Cyril is between the tire and the tube, and he can expect zero empathy from Putin and Xi. They are not going to be happy with his dancing with the enemy. But let's see where that gets. Look at this image. This is how Lavrov was received in Angola. After discussing bilateral relations with the president of Angola in the country's capital, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov listened to the popular song Katusha, which was sang to him by local schoolgirls. And now I'm going to play you just a short clip of that video. I started a while back with a suggestion that the Republic must break up. Today I've had a few responses to it, and people want to know more about it. Well, the worst inheritance from the colonial era are these insane national borders of Africa. Borders that were drawn without any consideration of ethnic realities. Just look at Africa from the north right down to the south. Decades of violent tribal wars. Look at the slaughtering that happened in Rwanda and in Zimbabwe. People tend to forget about Zimbabwe, primarily due to ethnic violence, primarily because one ethnic group inherited control after decolonization and started to fight with the unempowered ethnic groups. Zimbabwe is basically two ethnic groups, and the one has all the power, constant fighting. If that country broke up into two after independence, the picture would have looked differently. A major issue is the fact that the so-called freedom fighters ended up with all the political power. And most of these fuck-ups were engineered by the West, the same Satanists that drew the initial borders. Look at Swaziland and Lesotho. Small, independent, and fairly peaceful and stable, mostly because of ethnic uniformity. Why did the ANC immediately destroy the homelands in South Africa after they came into power? Simply because they knew they could never gain control in every one of them. They knew it. Look at the Western Cape, administratively the most successful province, but it is absolutely swamped with migrants from the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape under ANC is a shithole where nothing works, despite the fact that they actually have some of the best agricultural land in the country. But due to the racial hate spread by the ANC government, white farmers pulled out, and now it is a wasteland of extremely impoverished people. The education system is in shambles. The health system is in tatters, as Ursula van der Crazy would say. In tatters, I tell you. There's not a single functioning municipality in that whole Eastern Cape. Not one. The PE economy is tanking, and PE is being deindustrialized. Imagine that. Grahamstown, that place has been destroyed. It is a cesspool of incompetence and zero service. Look at Kwakwa. That was once in my days, I can remember it because I did a lot of business in Kwakwa. It was a thriving industrial zone there. And today, it is shambles. Everywhere in the whole country, the same story. Here and there, regions managed to break out of the ANC grip, and they are growing and organizing themselves. Say we had 14 independent states. Nothing stops them to conclude federal deals with neighbors, deals that benefit their citizens. But the ANC cadres fucks every deal up that they cannot have their stink fingers in and cannot control. That is the truth. That is the facts. Say what you like. Under apartheid, a lot of work was done to benefit communities, and services were provided, education, health, industrial growth spots. The ANC fucked it all up. The ANC destroyed all the major entities that were providing South Africa with independence. Eskom, Iscor, Krijgkor, SAL, Denel, textile, engineering, railways, harbours, and I can carry on and carry on and carry on. Why did they do that? On instruction from their masters, because the Americans hated us because of our technologies that we developed in this country, just as a matter of interest. Those helmets that the pilots are using, where they aim the missiles by looking at their targets, that was designed and developed in South Africa and passed on to the Israelis, and the Israelis passed it on to the Americans. Of course, they've improved on it, but the base technology came from here. The pebble bed nuclear reactors, designed and developed by South Africans. Let's look at a transport example. In an independent Free State, the railway system is privatized, and they bring a rule in: no big trucks on their roads. So they have a loading zone, say around about at Paris. So if your truck is on its way to Cape Town, at Paris, you move into that system, you roll onto a railway truck, and the driver can sit back and sleep, and he goes by rail up to Colesberg. Colesberg, he must get off. So that load has gone through the Free State with zero damage to the Free State infrastructure and roads. Zero. Pretty soon, the Northern Cape is going to say, yeah, bugger that. We don't want all that trucks on our roads. If you get off that train, you pay 10,000 Rand toll fee to use our roads, or you stay on that train and you travel down to Cape Town with it. Just think about it. Maybe this is a stupid analogy, but look and think. Think about it. Look at the power. Kwakwa can say to AfriForum, bring your pebble bed investor. Build one for us. Pretty soon industrialists will stream to the derelict Kwakwa industrial zone because there is power and there is labor. Suddenly jobs and poverty relief. But this cannot happen in South Africa because the ANC don't want this to happen because they cannot steal in the process. Think about these things. That's all I'm asking. Think about it. I'm deeply disgusted that the opposition parties did not take the chance and got to talk to Lavrov. The Russians understand ethnic diversity and manages it well in Russia. Something like 119 ethnic groups, and you don't hear about ethnic violence in Russia. Why is that? because the Russian government respects all cultures and there's no discrimination against any culture. Some of those ethnic groups, I've read an article, are less than 10,000 people, and they live there somewhere in the Bundus, driving their reindeer and what, and that is where they are, and they're happy, and their culture is kept alive and maintained and all of that. But here in South Africa, we have the situation that a cabal got control over the whole country, and not for a moment must you think that it's only us whites. Yes, we as whites are subjected to triple BEE and all that crap, 170 laws discriminating against us and all that shit. And they terrorize our schools and they terrorize everything that white people organize, and so the Sufi jumps in and renames it and takes it. That is what's happening to whites. But colored people suffer the same. Not exactly the same, but they also suffer. The Indian population also suffer. And then there are of these black groups that are smaller. Their culture is totally murdered and butchered. Reality is, there's a hell of a lot of tribal friction in this country, but that is never documented or reported in the news. The country breaks up, and I've been thinking a lot about it. I initially reckoned I must break up into the 9 provinces, but that's not good enough. It must break up fairly along the lines of the old homeland borders. That's what should happen. All ethnic groups were happy in it, and once again, I am not propagating for a white homeland. It's not going to happen. We are spread all across the country. But the reality is, in communities, there's no problems between the whites and the blacks. It is these fucking politicians like Malema and some of these ANC people that are driving this racism problem. They are driving it. And one thing that I'm glad about this whole Eskom debacle is all of a sudden the population as a whole, pointing fingers to the ANC. They know the ANC screwed Eskom. Not whites, not apartheid, the ANC. And I have predicted that Eskom and load shedding is going to make this ANC government fall. And I am quite convinced it's going to happen. If you look and you listen at these prominent ANC speakers when they talk and they look carefully, there's panic in their eyes because their planned manipulation of the load shedding got out of hand. Now it is a runaway train and they can't stop it. So in conclusion, think about what I'm saying. Break the republic up and immediately the death grip that the ANC cabal has on the total country is gone and out of the window. Immediately. Because there is no way that they will have overwhelming majorities everywhere in all those new states. No way. But that is my opinion, and you're welcome to your opinions. All I'm saying, the Western Cape is trying frantically to get independence. They will never get it. Never. The ANC and the DA will make sure they don't get it. because both those parties take their instructions from the WEF, and think about that. So, on a parting note, break this republic up. It has served its purpose, but now it has become an instrument of manipulation, corruption, and a lot of pain to the ANC has screwed the health system, they screwed the police, they screwed the army, everything. There is nothing, not a single department in this country that is functioning properly. Nothing. And the citizens are suffering. In small independent countries, you will not see racial problems, and you will see growth and prosperity. Give me a like, and a subscribe, and share the thing. Thank you for your support.